I'm finding out how good Wemby, aka Victor Wembanyama, can actually be. Now we're seeing him through preseason, seeing it in November, you've seen it in January of this year, so you get an idea he's progressively getting better. It's kind of crazy, but this video that I'm about to react to is going to explain it all. So stay tuned, make sure you subscribe if you're new, and we're gonna get straight into it right now.
How good can Victor Wembanyama get? Ever since being drafted, Victor has been extremely impressive. He's been putting up incredible scoring numbers. He's been doing so in
he was putting highlights and everything.
He's able to score the basketball. And overall, at this point, a lot of people are wondering how good can Victor actually get in the long-term future. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionative NBA content. And if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification.
Hey man, check them out, man.
I mentioned that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyway,
oh, so he does that fight-ish too. Okay.
Victor Wembanyama was drafted with the #1 overall selection in this year's draft by the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay, yeah,
that's
correct.
Coming into the NBA, the expectations were through the roof. He was seen as a generational type talent based upon what he was able to do. He was a guy that had a ton of size out there, but also had a ton of skill. And although the NBA has definitely been pushing in that direction of guys 7 feet or taller being able to do a little bit more now than they were able.
They was really doing this with Chet last year. And I'm saying this because I was like not a fan, but like I would say that I liked his game when he came in, but then he had that foot injury. It just killed the momentum.
Able to do in the past, Victor just took that to the complete next level. And there was no player that we've really ever seen in the entire history of the NBA that was able to do something.
Yeah, he's agile as hell, bro.
Was able to do. But now let's get into some of those things.
He'll like, bro, he'll do like a football move, juke you. Like you see in the game from the Bucks, when he tried to go through the screen, he planted one foot, go to the other one, went in the paint and dunked that motherfucker. That's crazy.
So when you talk about his overall scoring ability, it's pretty clear that it's very unique and very diverse. Like for example, from that 3-point range, Victor has a really nice ability to hit that catch and shoot 3-point jump shot, and based upon his size and his wingspan, it's virtually impossible to block that shot. But even besides that, Victor has an incredible ability to hit a sidestep or a step back from that 3-point range as well, and we've even at times saw Victor hit fadeaway 3-point jump shots, which is also extremely unique from that range. And of course he does,
he hits that multiple times, low-key,
to make a lot of those shots even if they're at very difficult angles. But besides that 3-point shooting ability, from that mid-range area, Victor also has a nice ability, whether you talk about a catch and shoot mid-range jump shot, whether you talk about a sidestep, step back, one dribble pull up from that mid-range, post turnaround fadeaway from that mid-range area.
That was nice in the preseason. That was nice.
But moving on to his driving and finishing ability, this is also a really nice aspect of Wembanyama's game. As once driving all the way to the basket, Victor has a nice ability to finish around players with crafty layups, either his left or right hand. Of course, he has the ability to dunk over players at times with that wingspan, although it doesn't happen all that often. And even once he sets up shop in the post, he definitely has a nice touch around the basket as well. So overall, at all 3 levels, whether you're talking about the 3-point shooting,
bro, I need to watch a Wemby game like actually in person, bro. I might have to get a ticket, bro.
Very efficient and effective at all 3 levels. So the fact that Victor does have so many skills from all 3 levels at that 7-foot+ size is definitely something that's super unique and something we've never seen before. And based upon that, that's a huge reason for why he was able to be so successful so far during this relatively young NBA season. But besides his great offensive abilities, on the defensive side of the court, Victor definitely also does some things.
Oh yeah, he's a beast, bro.
He does utilize that great
he's a beast for sure.
Size to get in passing lanes at times and getting those steals. He also does a nice job at helping for weak side blocks. And overall, although I wouldn't say his defense is perfect at this point, at the same time, I definitely would say there are a lot of different things to like. So when you look at Victor's game in terms of his offensive ability and his defensive ability, it's pretty clear that the Spurs have really got something special in this guy. And
that is true, bro. I believe that Wemby is gonna stay at the Spurs for like good hot minute. I feel like it's gonna be like Curry staying the Warriors for a minute. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Especially when you consider that this is only his rookie season, you would only.
Dang, he moved the bet like god. Dang, he moved the rim like that.
Victor getting better in the long-term future is absolutely terrifying for the rest of the NBA. But now, a question that some of you may be wondering is, what are my expectations for Victor Wembanyama? Well, in my opinion, I definitely think the sky's the limit. I think already early on into this season,
I don't have no expectation, bro.
He's proven that he's legit. There actually have been a ton of guys in the past that were very unique coming.
Look, you can say all the people that came in, tall, could dribble. Ain't nobody was consistent as Wemby. I'm putting that out there. It's not really, like, I don't really have a expectation for Wemby. I just expect him to play his heart out and have a great game. That's basically all I want. And entertain. I don't really care about that much stuff for real, for real. I just want to see him play the game.
Into the NBA, like Bol or maybe some other guys, but once they made it to the league, they just proved that they weren't really able to live up to those expectations. But I definitely think that's not the case with Victor. He's been a guy that puts up incredible numbers on a lot of different nights. Although he does have some bad games, he is a rookie at the end of the day, and there are more games that he plays well than not. And I think if he's already proving the ability to do that,
he's putting up 20 plus a game, bro.
Throughout the rest of his rookie year, we're only going to see improvement. We're only going to see Victor get more and more comfortable and be more efficient out there. And I think in the long-term future, I wouldn't expect anything less than a superstar out of this guy. And I know those expectations are extremely high, but I just think when you're talking about a guy who has a size that Victor Wembanyama does and who has a skill that Victor Wembanyama does, it's just a combination that's very difficult to see him being anything less than a superstar. I just don't see how teams are going to be able to stop this guy in the future. Because typically when you talk about freaks out there, like for example, the Greek freak in Giannis Antetokounmpo, he is extremely difficult to stop and he's virtually impossible to stop. But one thing that you could do with him is you could back off him and force him to shoot as opposed to getting all the way to the
But he's been working on that though.
But when you talk about Victor Wembanyama, you don't really have that ability. If you play off Victor, he's going to hurt you with hitting that three-point shot at will. If you play close to Victor, he has good enough speed, good enough quickness, and also ball handling ability to get by his initial defender and get all the way to the basket. So that is
very true.
Difficult to take something away from this guy. And actually, even if you do press up on Victor and you try to get a contest from that three-point range, due to his size and wingspan, it makes it virtually impossible to get a real contest either. So
I ain't gonna lie, imagine guarding, like, look, imagine guarding him, bro, and you're basically like at his stomach or something, like a regular person, bro, 6'3" or some shit like that, bro, and he came up to the basketball court and somebody pick him up and you had to guard him. What are you gonna do? He gonna shoot over you. He can dunk on you. He's crafty with his pass. He can dribble. That's like a modded 2K player, for real, for real.
It's almost impossible to stop this guy, and the only real way you're going to stop Victor Wembanyama is if Victor Wembanyama stops himself. But if everything's going good, if Victor's shot is going in, if he's able to drive all the way to the basket effectively, it's basically going to be impossible to stop this guy. And that holds true right now early on into his rookie season, as well as during the long-term future, as he's only going to have more and more time to improve. But the next question that some of you may be wondering at this point is, what are my expectations for the San Antonio Spurs? Well, in my opinion, I think they have a few things that are very.
I want to hear what he says.
It seems like they have their franchise guy in Victor Wembanyama, which is a factor that's extremely important, the most important thing actually. But besides that, they have a fantastic coach in Greg Popovich. Of course, there are some questions and concerns about how much longer he's going to continue to coach, but at least at this point, they definitely have that box checked off, and they all.
I feel like 4 years, 5 years. I'm not sure. It can't be more. It can't be more years. It just depends on how Coach Pop feels and all that.
Also have proven over the years to have a phenomenal staff. Whether you talk about the general manager, president of basketball operations, it just always seems like the San Antonio Spurs are a very well-oiled machine and they have the right guys in the right positions. So they also have that box checked off. Besides those three factors, the Spurs are definitely very early on into the rebuild process. Still at this point, they need to bring in a ton of different players to put alongside Victor. They need guys that are going to be able to score from themselves at a really high level. They're going to need to guys
They got
that
Devin.
have to grow alongside.
They got Keldon.
Wembanyama, and overall, there definitely still is a
Sohan.
very long way to go before the Spurs make the playoffs, and of course, before the Spurs do anything meaningful.
No, they got the players. They just
So
need
although
they
I
just need to
definitely do
develop.
think
That's
the
all.
Spurs are set up for success in the long-term future. At least at this point, I do think it's going to be some time before we see San Antonio back in the playoffs. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening, but I will say I'm extremely excited to see what does.
It's kind of crazy, bro, because it's like you can't stop him, bro. Once he gets to that level in like I'd say 2-3 years, perfecting it, maybe even a year, bro, there is no way that you can really stop him. People want to say bulk up, but if he bulks up, chances are that he will be less mobile and prone to more injuries. So you might as well make him more lean, but gain muscle, gain weight that's not like 280 pounds. So yeah, that'll be it for the video. Let me know what you actually think about Wemby, if he's going to be the greatest of all time or not, or just being a great player, a superstar in the future.